Be good. Okay, perfect. So, hello, welcome to the Escondido Public Library Virtual Author Chat Series. The series is in sponsorship with Mysterious Galaxy. I'm your host, Jessica Buck, Adult Services Librarian, and today I am joined by author Elissa Dickey. And I'm going to read your little bio so that people can know a little bit about you before we start chatting. So Elissa Dickey is a mother, writer, and multiple sclerosis warrior who believes in the power of strong coffee and captivating stories. Her debut novel, The Speed of Light, follows a life-changing year in the life of a young woman as she grapples with an MS diagnosis, a new love, and a terrifying workplace incident. And it just released. Woohoo! It is in the bookstores and it is in the library. And your second book, I'm so excited, Iris in the Dark, is going to be coming out in spring of 2022. So we have to wait a year, but we're excited to wait. You are a former journalist, and now you work in higher education, communications, and marketing. You are a 26, I don't know why I suddenly went to like you, because I'm looking at you. 2016 Pitch Wars alum, National MS Society blogger, board president of Aspire, a South Dakota organization that serves adults with disabilities, and co-creator of the Aberdeen Right Now writing group. Born and raised in northern Minnesota, Elissa now lives in South Dakota with her husband and children. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And for anyone watching, if you have any comments or any questions, feel free to put those into the comments and we will get to those as they come up. So yes, thank you. I'm so excited.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
I just want to make sure that the view is right. Should work. Okay. I keep seeing like us getting big and I'm worried that I didn't put the right setting on, but I think it's going to be fine because people can still see us.
Okay, good.
Yes, so let's just get on with the questions.
Okay,
so I was reading through the book. I was reading through like Goodreads and seeing what people were talking about. And I love that you put like your own little like review, like this is why I wrote the book.
I did. So, well, and I didn't know. I've seen other authors do it, and then I'm like, should I do it? Should I not? So like right before it came out, I did it just so that people would know that this is.
Yeah, no, of course. And I quote, "In many ways, my debut novel, The Speed of Light, is the story I needed when I was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis." And when I was reading through the reviews, a lot of them were by people who have MS that read your book. And like, you wrote it because you needed it, and they definitely needed it too, because it was just shining reviews from everyone.
Oh, good. No, that's the dream, I guess, is that, yeah, because I feel like I wrote it for myself because it was what I needed, but I really wanted it to resonate. And that's the thing, is it's my story. And so everyone with MS and with other chronic illnesses too, I mean, we're all different. We all experience it differently and have different emotions and different symptoms and everything. But I wanted it to be something that would resonate with other people as well. And I have gotten some really nice notes from people with MS and other chronic illnesses too. And that has just, it made the entire experience for me.
And that tells us a little bit, but do you want to just talk a little bit more about your book?
Absolutely.
And kind of the journey and how you wrote it.
Yes, absolutely. Like you said, it's book club fiction told in intersecting timelines, and it follows a tumultuous year in this young woman's life, Simone, who is grappling with a multiple sclerosis diagnosis and a new love and a terrifying workplace incident. And kind of how that plays out without giving too much away is that we start with the present and this scary thing happening, and then it flashes back to where she has just been diagnosed and also just meeting the love of her life, and kind of how that, and it bounces back and forth, and how these things play off of each other until the end, when it kind of the timelines meet and it kind of all culminates. And like we said, or like I said, her journey with her diagnosis and coming to terms with it is very much a personal story for me, and based a lot. It's kind of helped me process my own diagnosis, to be honest. And I should point out too that I kind of forgot that I know we didn't plan this in advance, but this week is MS Awareness Week, and so this is kind of the perfect time. I mean,
Oh,
March is MS Awareness Month, so the fact that the book came out March 1st was perfect timing. And then now the fact that we're having this during MS Awareness Week is even more perfect timing. So thank you again for having me here.
well, that is just everything coming together as
Right.
it should
Just
be.
serendipity. Yes, exactly.
Oh, that makes me really happy.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
We'll tell people that it was on purpose.
Exactly, yeah. I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's fine. So as we both mentioned, the Speed of Light is your debut. So from the bio, we know that you're a former journalist. Has writing always been your calling, or was it something that you just sort of discovered?
I would say it's always been my calling. I've always wanted to, honestly, I've always wanted to be an author. And so I feel like with journalism, I kind of fell into that in college because I was like, okay, I want to write books, but I probably should have a job as well. Or, and so I got involved with my college newspaper and I fell in love with it. And I developed a career in journalism. And it was a wonderful career. And I think it really helped hone my writing and editing skills. I mean, it's definitely way different from fiction, but I mean, that's some brutal, fast-paced editing in journalism that really helps, I think, throughout your career as well. And then now, even in higher education communications, writing is still a big part of my job. So it all kind of fits together, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I've always been a full-time, I've always had a full-time career and family and everything. It's hard to find that time then to write. And my book deal came at the age of 40. And so I guess it's, I'm kind of proof that it's never too late to follow your dream.
Oh, I love that. That is totally true. Absolutely. And so you did, are you currently a National MS Society blogger?
Yes. Yeah. I write about 6 blog posts a year, and my latest, I just sent one kind of, honestly, and I don't think it's posted yet, but about being the sick mom during the pandemic and how that's affected me and my kids and their troopers and everything. But I kind of everything from, I did one last year for MS Awareness Month of to tell or not to tell, like when to tell someone about your illness and things to consider. Or sometimes like one I did was just tips for mealtime as a parent when you're having a bad fatigue day. So I kind of, sometimes they give me topics, sometimes I come up with my own, but just trying to share the journey with other people who have MS as well.
Yeah. Well, the main character, Simone?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Simone. She struggled with who to tell, acts, how to act, like,
right.
do I share, do I just go as if things are normal?
Right. Right. And it's a hard decision because it changes things. I feel like when, everyone is always so nice, but it does change things, and it kind of presents a certain level of vulnerability that you may not be ready to share with someone. And the same thing, I think I was talking to one of my friends about when you're experiencing a symptom. Like it's for me, it's personally, it's easier to talk about, oh, I've had trouble with fatigue before. But if someone sees me like going through it, and I don't know them well, it's a little more, it's harder for me to share that with someone. So yeah, so it's definitely, you have to consider a lot, like, because it does change things when you tell someone.
And because I know I started doing research into like famous people or celebrities with MS,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I just, before I hadn't thought about it
Right.
that much before, because it's
Right.
not something that's anyone that I know has or has experience with. So it doesn't
Right.
affect like my personal life. So I started
Right.
doing research. And are there I'm assuming there are groups for people to get support and to
Yes.
like share. And I'm wondering, like, it must be difficult because of COVID where everything went virtual for people to be able to like get together and get support.
Yeah. It is, I think, for those local groups that get together, but I think they're also like MS Society or National MS Society has MS Connections where they'll connect people virtually. And so I almost feel like that was something that they were taking advantage of before that even. And honestly, that's, personally, I have met several wonderful people in person, but there's also like a friend who lives elsewhere in the country that we've connected over Facebook, and like it's nice to have that connection too, just to like message and, hey, how did this go for you? Are you on the, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So virtual connections can be wonderful as well.
Yeah, definitely what we've learned from
Yes, yeah.
2020 in this year is how nice it is to be virtual, because who knows if we would have been able to have done this
Right.
if it wasn't virtual.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
New opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the questions is a question that someone a long time ago I asked Twitter because I wanted some fresh questions. Like, what kind of questions would you want to ask an author? And
Yeah.
one of them was there a particular scene or moment in your book that surprised you? So now I'm curious if there was a particular scene or moment in your book that surprised you, and not even one that you had planned to write. Was there one that just happened through the evolution of writing your story?
Yeah, and that's a great question too. There is one chapter that it was actually through the editing process. My wonderful editor asked to add this scene of it, the actual, because it was kind of like, do we want to put in when she's getting diagnosed, like the actual diagnosis day? And we did, and then she had asked me to go through and edit so that it was more emotional rather than technical, like medical term, because that is a struggle I had with the book, is how much do you talk about like the medical side of it with terminology so that people understand versus just how it affected her. And so she asked me to go through and edit it and make it more emotion, just how it affected Simone. And I think the surprising part is when I did it, because I was diagnosed 7 years ago. And so when I wrote this, and then especially after it sold and the revising, it had been, quite a few years, so it wasn't as fresh. But I found that when I wrote this, or rewrote that
Mm-hmm.
chapter and was going through it, I actually got emotional and teared up. And like you expect that from a personal story, but I guess I just didn't expect the memories to be so fresh. And so then I'm like, well, I guess I did it right. I guess I did, what it worked, obviously. If so, that it surprised me, and I think that scene ended up being a lot more authentic than it would have been.
No, definitely. So the next question, did you do any fun or interesting research? And I'm like, I hope that there was some fun research, because
I'm
I
like,
don't.
well, this is a heavy topic. And so it's not the fun one, it's more the interesting, because I thought the other side of the book is about, there's a shooting that happens on our campus, and I work on a campus, and I have sat through quite a few of the Alice active shooter training drills. And it's intense, and it can be downright scary. And it's kind of one of those, it's a sad reality of our times, and definitely had an impact on me. And so if that counts, then I did sit through those, and obviously that experience filtered into the story. I wish I had a more fun answer for that.
We can talk about the next book and see if there's any fun stuff to expect, because I didn't look it up at all. So towards the end, I'm going to ask you about it, and we can chat, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And now I have to find my questions again.
Is it am I a plotter or a pantser?
Yes. So let's talk about writing, because even though you are a debut, you've done a lot of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
I like to say, and it's not like I made up this term, but I like to say I'm a plantser, like it's a combination, because I started out full on pantser, just creative, let it go, but then I would have this super long manuscript that really needed to be reined in. And so as I've written a few more manuscripts, then I started plotting more. And I've really found that having that guideline or that kind of framework really helps. Who knew? And obviously the story will change as you're writing it, so you have to adjust, but it really helps to have that starting point. I really love Save the Cat Writes a Novel, which I first checked out from my local library, and then I bought it because it was so handy. And now I've turned into kind of like a plotting geek because I like filling in the acts and stuff. But so I guess I've come full circle, but I really need that guideline in order to kind of let myself go and then come back to it and keep myself reined in a little bit.
And is this the first book that you've written fully?
No, it's
Or there are
actually not.
ones that you like have hidden under the bed?
They're hidden under the bed. No, I've written 3. I signed with my agent on my first one, and publishing being difficult sometimes. Obviously, I had 2 on submission, that close but no cigar type thing, and I love both of them, and I learned a lot from both of them. And someday I hope to find homes for them, obviously. But in the end, I feel like everything kind of worked out as it should, because it took me 3 manuscripts to have the courage to write a main character with MS. My first 2 didn't. And so I kind of feel like things worked out the way I'm really glad that this is my debut, if that makes sense.
Oh, I love that. Has your writing process changed through the 3?
It's a great question as well. I feel like, and I think other authors might say this, that everyone is a brand new, like, oh my gosh, how did I do this last time? But everyone now, I have proof that I've done it before and I can finish it. And so maybe there's a slight, I don't want to say, hopefully it's not overconfidence, but there's a slight like, all right, I've done this, let's do this and let's get it done. And I don't, when I first started out, I wrote every single day because I needed to get that rhythm and get it into my daily schedule. But now I can go a little bit and then get back on track because I know it's part of my routine now. So I think maybe just a comfort level with knowing I'll always come back to the writing, and also the story, like it will come together, and just get it down on the page. And I do edit it a little bit as I go. I can't say that I totally just first draft, just let it go. But if I cringe at some of my writing, I'll be like, oh, it's all right. It's the first draft. I know that I'm going to get it done and come back to it. And I have my methods then of, okay, finish the draft and then probably ship it off to an unsuspecting critique partner. They're who are angels. Critique partners are wonderful. And then go back through it myself and be like, okay, here are the things I need to work on, and kind of make my little list. Because now that I'm a plotter, I also am a list maker, and then start revising.
I feel like that question of are you a pantser or a plotter is something that's just like in life. Like, are you a pantser or a plotter in life? Because I think it's definitely there are people that are pantsers.
Right. And I feel like maybe that's a common thing with aging too, that when I was younger, I was probably more of a pantser with most things. But now as I've gotten older, I've definitely become a plotter where I need to know what's going to happen, or at least have a plan before I just do something.
And do you have a favorite part of the writing process? Like,
Yeah,
is it like you're done?
Definitely the end, and you can post a pretty picture on Instagram and say, yay, I'm done, that sort of thing. Yes, that 100%. Besides that, I feel like there are these intangible moments that are just like magical, not to be cheesy, but you get a story idea, or at least this is how it is for me. I'll get a story idea, but I'm not quite sure about it yet. And so there's so much plotting that actually goes on in my head. And I think there are a lot of, I think most authors are like this too, where plotting in your head is totally writing, because you kind of have to think a lot about it, develop some scenes almost, and then there's that moment the character finally kind of clicks and comes to life in your head, and then you're ready to start that story. And that for me is really one of those magical moments. And then the other similar thing is when you're drafting and you put something in earlier, unbeknownst to you, later, like toward the end, something happens where it all comes together based on this one thing you did back here that you didn't even really realize. And that is really a magical moment. I love that.
And with your main character, Simone, did you have her all figured out when you started writing, or did she kind of tell you how things were going to be?
I feel like this might be a weird answer, but I feel like I had the past timeline Simone pretty ironed out, the one that was going through the illness. The current timeline Simone, the one that kind of had to find her strength, and like that's the one that kind of surprised me, and so that she kind of developed as I was writing, and so maybe that makes sense, or maybe it
No,
doesn't.
I
But
love
that,
that. I kind
yeah.
of got goosebumps.
Did you really? Okay,
I love that. I love that.
because I think I kind of grew and right
No.
along with her. Is how it felt.
Oh, I love that. I have to stop trying to ask about your next book because I'm
Oh, it's okay. We'll get there.
I'll get there because I keep thinking of, oh, I can ask about this, but I'm gonna wait because I am a plotter, so I've plotted the
No,
questions.
I get it.
Follow them. And okay, I'm always curious about this. So do you snack while you write?
Sometimes, like I definitely have coffee. The best is when I'm, it's a weekend or I have the day off and I can get a big strong cup of coffee with my creamer, sit down, start writing. But usually then at some point I'll have chocolate, and usually sometimes I use it as a reward. Like, if I write this chapter, I can have a piece of chocolate, another chapter, another piece of chocolate. So I'm kind of a rewards-based snacker.
No, I'm that way in life.
Yeah, right. Send an email, chocolate.
Got my work done, I get a little snack. Of
Yeah.
course. Are you able to write anywhere, or do you have to have like the table that you sit at and everything is just so? Can there be people around, or do you have to be completely alone? I know for a lot of people, they had to adapt when like quarantine, because all of a sudden you're stuck. It's like the
Right.
environment that you have is the environment that you get.
Oh, right. Totally. And I think it depends on kind of what I'm working on, because there certainly have been times where I can remember once where, because people would say they'd write in the notes mode of their phone. I'm like, how do you do that? But I remember sitting, like it was either he either a football practice or a camp or something, and I was writing notes on my phone. And I'm like, oh, that's how they do it. You do it because you have to. But I am lucky enough to have my own writing room upstairs. I didn't used to, but we kind of, God bless my husband, he's like, okay, we're going to convert this room, and he's got a desk in here and stuff. So it's wonderful. So if I really need to get words in, or like, I'm on deadline and I need to get some stuff done, then mom comes up here and shuts out the kids and everything downstairs and gets it done. But if I'm revising and it's maybe not a difficult pass, or, there's not a huge deadline, then sometimes I will just kind of fit it in. Or I've even been known to like, okay, open the laptop while we have a movie on or something and just get a little bit done. Just kind of fit it in when I can. And certainly I miss pre-pandemic going to a coffee shop, because that was the best Saturdays, when my critique partner and I would meet up at our favorite coffee shop, and just, even a half Saturday of writing, you'd get so much done. But we'll get there again. I'm hopeful.
You can always meet over Zoom.
That's true.
Just like
Very
pretend.
true.
They have those like coffee shop soundtrack on YouTube where like it has people, like you can hear people muttering and there's like music playing. So you could always pretend.
Yeah, so I could put the Zoom background behind me, like, the Friends coffee shop or something.
Right? Just have your husband like grind beans.
Yeah. He'd be like, what do you want me to do?
Hey, if it helps, I think it's worth it.
Right.
So we talked a little, I mentioned some of the reviews that I had read on Goodreads.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know that the story and Simone's journey is very personal because it's experiences, most of them that you've had. But what do you hope either readers that are experiencing multiple sclerosis, or readers that have family members or people they know, or people that like me that like had no idea about any of it.
Yeah.
What do you hope that they take away after they've read it? Is it just more of an understanding or more of an appreciation of the journey people go through, or just what's your big, if people felt this way afterwards, I would feel completely content with everything?
Right. Well, definitely the more understanding, and the notes I've gotten, like that it's resonated with people who do have MS or another chronic illness. But I think my huge big hope would be that just that readers can take away that people with chronic illness and disabilities can be the main characters of stories, deserve to be the main characters of their own stories, and deserve their happily, like we deserve our happily ever afters
Oh,
just
yeah.
as we are. I think that would be the one. And I would hope that it would open the door for more, like just because like I said, this was one story, from my perspective of someone with MS, and it would be different for anybody else you would ask. So I would hope that it would open the door for more authors with chronic illness and disability to tell their own stories. That would be wonderful.
No, absolutely. We need more of all representation.
Yes, yes.
In all the genres.
Absolutely.
I was looking up because I was trying to find out, okay, are there other books on this topic that have like characters like this? And it's like there's all those like book lists that you can find online, but they're always just all of the disabilities are lumped together. And I was like, no. And I was like, oh, I need to find one where your book's on the list, or I need to make one. Your book's on the list.
Yeah, no. I hope there are more someday. I hope there are so many that there, have to be like sub lists of different categories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We will get there.
We will.
Probably so many more. Like I'm sure that there's people that don't know about your book that are asking the same question.
Right.
We just got to get the word out there.
We do. We'll do it.
So here's a fun question. What do you do when you're not writing?
Spend time with my family, probably like everyone the past year. No, I mean, I do that with pandemic or no pandemic, obviously we spend time together, but especially now we've been big on board games and movie nights and like charades and things like that. The weather's getting nice again, not today so much, but so we'll get outside more, but otherwise it's been board games, movie nights, that sort of thing. But in the spring, I'm a big flower nerd now. Like I love being in my flower garden so much. And I actually find it's great for writing because if there's a plot hole or just a sticky something in my story that I can't work out in my garden, and somehow it comes to me. So it's kind of a dual benefit there.
Oh yeah, since we moved into the apartment we're at, and since everything's shut down, I spend a lot of time trying to keep my flowers alive because I had aphids and now I have grasshoppers.
Oh no.
It's a constant struggle, but it's so much fun when they actually are alive and happy because I feel it's such a feeling of accomplishment. Like
it really is.
They're alive.
I did that. Yep.
I have not killed them yet.
I know.
Are you just always a gardener, or was it something that?
No, this is hopefully make people feel hopeful because I used to kill plants when I was young. Like I was not good at it, just couldn't, if people are like, this one's easy, I'd be like, you've just jinxed that plant or jinxed me. But no, my younger sister is wonderful with plants. And so she would just bring some and she would kind of tell me about them. And some of them would make it and some of them wouldn't. But I slowly feel like I kind of caught on, or like some of her green thumb somehow passed to me or something, or I just got more confident. Sometimes it's just confidence, I think, which is probably a metaphor for life and writing and everything, but the confidence to fail sometimes and succeed sometimes. And now I've got a beautiful flower garden and I, don't even remember being that, I feel like I've always had a green thumb and yet I didn't. So yeah, confidence in people to believe in you. Those are good metaphors for all areas of life.
So I really want to ask about the next book because is it done? It's done. It's almost done.
It's not getting there.
It's going to be done. Okay.
It'll be done. It definitely
I can't ask too many things then.
Right. That's my thing is, I will answer what I can. And I'm really excited about it.
So is it going to be completely different? Is it going to be like?
It's going to have the same feel. Okay. Like my wonderful agent kind of, I think, coined this phrase where my stories tend to have heart-stirring emotion and heart-pounding adrenaline, like a mix of it. I'm going to put like a little TM there or something. No? But and that is to say, generally there's a love story component and then there's some suspenseful elements going on. Not like all out thriller by any means, but just, some sort of possible danger or just a scarier element. And that that type of feel is going to be the same, but it's going to be completely, and it's also set in South Dakota. That is where I live. And so it's a South Dakota prairie story. And well, that sounds like not like Old West or anything. Sorry. I'm really selling this, aren't I? I am not good at the elevator pitch, clearly. But no, it's about this time about a single mom who is overprotective. And I have to say the side note, when the blurb went out, my 8-year-old, he saw the wording, he's like, "Is it about you, Mom?" And I was like, okay, look, I'm not single, but I am overprotective. Sorry. So an overprotective single mom who kind of gets talked into reluctantly house sitting, and it's actually at a hunting lodge in rural South Dakota. And so there's the element of being in over her head, and then there's the handsome neighbor who they clash at first, but we'll see what happens. And
okay, I'm glad there's a handsome neighbor, because you said like hunting lodge and like rural, and I'm like, oh my gosh, someone's gonna die.
Oh no. See, that's where I'm not good at the elevator pitch. But no, it's more of but there are these elements where she has to face her fears when she hears a cry for help over a two-way radio when she's house sitting at this lodge.
Oh.
And so it starts to kind of like she has to figure out what's going on, basically, and face her fears, face her past, and it'll all come together.
Oh, see, that was great.
Thank you. It took me a while to get there. I got to write this down.
Well, it'll be recorded, so you can take what you said and just not say the rest.
Right, exactly.
And like highlight that there's like a handsome neighbor, because that's important.
Handsome neighbor, don't worry.
And I'm happy that there's going to be some love, because I love love. And what I enjoyed about The Speed of Light with Simone is where I love that denial of the feelings and then the moments of realization. Like, that's something that I just love. And I think you did such a wonderful job doing it in a story that's not like a romance. There's so much else that's going on. And I just really enjoyed that. So
thank you.
So I can't wait for the love in the next one.
Yes, I definitely hope to recreate
intrigue.
the Simone and Connor feel over here with Iris and Sawyer.
The names. I love the names. Because sometimes I think people try to do names that are like a little too unique.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Sawyer's such a good name. I just love the names. So you're still working on the next one.
Yes.
Are you working on the one after that?
Yes, actually, I have, and I'll put a little plug in because I'm working on a story set in Ireland, or partially in Ireland. Ooh. And this weekend, I'm part of I don't know if you saw the Right Review is having like an Irish parade of authors. And so I'm actually part of that, because I'm part Irish, but I also studied abroad in Ireland as a few years ago in college. It was 20, we'll say that. And then last year, my best friends and I actually got to go back to Ireland for the first time in 20 years. We literally got back, I think we went end of February, so it was right before everything.
Oh yeah,
got down. I can't even believe we went, but so that story I'm working on is kind of, again, I tend to take things I've experienced and then think, what if the worst thing happened or something? I don't know what that says about me, but
there's a good-looking neighbor.
Oh, there's a good-looking, yes, there is actually. Well, it's not a neighbor in this one, but there is a good-looking Irishman that she meets. So it's where, again, they went on a study abroad trip. Something bad happened. 20 years later, they're going to go back, and something bad starts happening again. They have figured out there's love interest.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that one's still a work in progress, but a lot of stories like that where it's a work in progress.
Oh yeah. No, it's like, what projects are you working on? Like, well, which ones?
I know, I'm like this, and this, and this, and someday I'll go back to my apocalyptic women's fiction with, a love interest and all that, and just all these stories that roll onto my head.
Yeah, they're all so different, but like you said, there's like things that are similar in them. Are there any like just genres or worlds that like someday you'll write that story?
That's a great question. Because I've had ideas that are like, oh well, that's almost sort of horror, or that one's almost like full on romance, or that one, like I could definitely be one of those authors who I'm like, okay, I might need a million pen names, but I'm gonna try all
I
these
was
different
gonna say,
things.
like, are you gonna like, is it gonna be the same name on all of them, or all of a sudden you're gonna have a new one?
I don't know, because then it's like, what about a cozy mystery or like a series or something? But all these things, but I gotta say, and I'll say it here, and get you're just getting me to say all this stuff. But I've thought often that I would love to write something that comps to um, the Time Traveler's Wife and the Terminator, like because those are kind of the two things that I'm like a love story and then like a futuristic, dangerous story. So that's someday I'll write something that can comp to that. Those two.
Well, you know, for our romance book club, we read What the Wind Knows by Amy Harmon, and
Ooh.
that is a it time travel Irish flat like
I'm
romance,
listening.
but not super romance, but just enough historical romance. And it's one of those things where it's like, what came first, like the chicken or the egg kind of thing.
Right.
So it's like those are wonderful.
Those are wonderful. I might check that out. Amy Harmon, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah, what the wind knows.
Okay.
Because as soon as you like talked about Ireland, I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so many. Oh, it's like there's so much you can do.
Oh, I know. I know.
And I'm part Irish too, so it's like but I haven't gotten to go. I haven't been able to visit. You've been able to visit, so I'm a little bit jealous.
We'll go together sometime. We'll go again. I'll have a big party there or something.
Right? We'll take photos of
It is
everything
beautiful.
when we can actually go.
Right. I know
When we
it's
can travel again.
right, right.
I'm just checking to see if we have any questions. Okay. Let me see. So I'm curious about the cover.
Ooh. It's it's fabulous, isn't it?
Because
It's
it's
like the cover of
beautiful.
it's the cover of my dreams, basically, because that yeah, I could not have envisioned anything better. I cried when I saw it. It is Face Out Studio, Tim Green. So yay, shout out there. He's wonderful. They're wonderful. And I've never met anyone there, but that's who did it. So yay, give credit where it's due. But no, it's I know that, it's sometimes it's and I didn't have a ton of insight, but I filled out a form and I said, here are my ideas. And then right away, like again, it's like he created something that is even better than I could have imagined because it's so perfect to me. It's that the snow falling against the windshield, which is the speed of light, like that comes out. And I don't know if I guess we didn't talk about that, but the title too is it's based on the look of the snow coming against the windshield when you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, of course, that they both like Star Wars movies, but it also refers to the fact that life can change so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like this just encompasses it in so many ways. And I just want to stare at it. I just love it.
Well, it's not just how perfect in like the meaning, but it's so eye-catching because
Yeah.
covers are important because that's the first impression that people
I
get.
agree.
And
Yeah.
it's not only that it's beautiful, but it's like I can read the title,
Right.
which
Right.
sometimes it's hard to do with the fancy fonts. But I think I just love it. And I love, this is getting a little too nerdy, but I love that there's this one speck.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like a little bit blurry. Like when
Yeah.
you're watching a movie and all of a sudden like the water or the snow like gets on the lens.
Yes.
I had that kind of moment when I saw the cover where
Oh, I never even thought of that.
where it was just like it felt real. It was
Yeah.
super real.
Yeah. No, it's I love it. I love it so much.
It's like, what else? I want to talk about more things before we're done. So the people that got to read it before it was finished, did you have like your little group that you sent it out to first? Or was it more of like you worked with the publisher to have like specific people get like the arc of it to read?
Are you talking when I was like before I finished it, or like after it was sold? Sorry, like
Whichever one you want to
okay.
answer.
No, that's okay. I can do both. Or because I did before I turned it into my agent, like I have my 3 best friends. I don't know if they're on tonight. Usually they try to watch my interviews, but I send them pages as I go. And so it's like, I know that that's against some people's writing rules. Like no one's supposed to see the first draft, but to me, if you could find, if you have your 3 besties who don't judge you, they just like keep me going. They're like, oh, we want more pages, and that's wonderful. And I appreciate you guys for listening. But and so they were the first ones to get pages as it went. And then I finished it, and then a couple of family members read it, and my wonderful CP Gretchen, shout out to her as well. I'm not sure if she's able to watch. But then after that, like my wonderful CP Emily read it. I'm not sure if she's listening, sorry. But like, so I have, I had like input from various people, and then turned it into my agent. And then we had a few rounds of, back and forth revising, and then went on sub. Is that what you meant? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I just thought of it and I'm like, oh, I wonder if like she has like a little group, because sometimes people have like their specific group that they send it to, and it's like, okay, once you sign off on it, then I know that it's okay.
Oh no, that's great though. Yeah. Well, and I definitely have like my CPs are great because I feel like they're both excellent writers as well, but they see things, they bring up questions too in your writing that you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so, yeah, definitely, yeah, it's incredible to have peak partners that make you a better writer.
And have you been like Googling yourself or seeing like, oh, people started like posting photos of it on like social media? Have you like started to see, because it's out in the world now?
Yes, and I've actually like come full circle already with that, because it's a double-edged sword, definitely. I'm like, okay, I need to stop. And then I was warned about like reading reviews, because
Oh yeah, not the review.
That's
I'll tell you about the good ones. That's all I have to worry about.
right. That's what I'm like. I just need to hear the good ones, not the bad ones. Because obviously you want to learn and do better, and improve and that sort of thing. But sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, and people, some are just mean spirited, and so you're like, okay,
Yeah.
best to just avoid. But no, I have found, and the same with like being tagged on social media. There's beautiful photos and very kind words, and then sometimes there's not. And so I'm trying to be
I feel
more.
like there should be a rule. It's like if it's not good, or if it's negative, just don't tag them. I see that so much, especially on Twitter. Authors are like, please, if you didn't
Right.
like it, please don't tag me.
Right, because it's like such a wonderful time debuting and learning, but it's also, it's scary and tiring, and
This is
and
a rough time to debut because you can't. I mean, have you seen it? Have
I
you seen
have,
your book in person
because
at
the
the bookstore?
wonderful
Okay.
campus bookstore where I work is carrying it, and they're wonderful too. I'm giving all these shout outs. No, but so that I know, and it'd be wonderful to be able to travel and see it elsewhere. But yeah, otherwise I would not be able to see it. And I've had, friends send me pictures of it and as well, and that's so nice. But yeah, it's a weird time to debut, but wonderful. And I'm
It is a
so
wonderful
grateful.
and weird time because we might not have been able, like I said before, to do this
Yeah, right.
chat if it wasn't the weird reality that we're in right now.
Right.
And now we have your book in our library.
Yay. That makes me so happy. Thank you so much.
I currently have it checked out, but if you want, anyone watching wants to check it out, you can put it on hold.
Yay.
And I'll return it tomorrow. Then you'll be able to check it out and read it.
Yay.
Okay, so we are at the end. So you mentioned the library, but this is the question that I always ask at the end of these. It's okay if you don't have a specific one or if you just have like a general love.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite library memory?
And it is honestly kind of a series of moments because pre-pandemic, going to our local library was like, it's what my kids and I did on Saturday. It was part of our routine. We would go to the library and kids would look for books and movies, and then they'd hop on a computer and play some games while I got to look for books and movies that I wanted. And then we'd go and hit our local favorite coffee shop and maybe the park. And it was just kind of like that routine we had. And it was so wonderful because our library is just so warm and inviting and fun and welcoming. And I love that it was such a big part of our lives. And I love that it's such a big part of my kids' life. And I know we'll get back there. It's just the sooner the better. I miss it.
Oh. Yeah, I know a lot of libraries are still fully closed. We are open,
Yes.
like with limited hours and only 20% capacity
Yes.
right now, but
Ours is too, and I shouldn't, not that it isn't, it's just we've been
it's
very
still a
careful.
different experience because you
Yeah.
can't
Oh yeah. And I've
have that same
with my illness and my son has asthma, we've just been very extra cautious. But I got my first vaccine yesterday, my first dose, so I'm really excited.
Yay! I keep hearing people, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get mine soon.
Soon.
But I'm
I know
so
it's
happy.
like,
I'm so happy hearing it. It makes me happy
yeah.
because everyone needs it. I'm just going to check Facebook once more just to be sure. I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
spending
much.
time out of your day, out of your night to talk with me,
Yeah.
little old me at the library.
Oh no, thank you for having little old me on you. This is wonderful.
Thank you for writing the book so that we can have it at the library for people to read and enjoy. Woo, it is you. Press off the press.
Yay.
And thank you to the people that are watching. Thank you to those that are going to watch it once it's recorded. So thank you for watching it then.
Yay.
If you're interested in more free online programming like this, just check out our Facebook events to see all the fun and free digital events we have planned. You can also watch recordings of all the previous chats on Facebook and YouTube as well. And we hope to see you here again March 18th at 3 p.m. for a live visual pictorial presentation and Q&A with Dr. Sandra E. Benura as she discusses Empire Builder, John D. Spreckles, and the making of San Diego. And before we say goodbye, I just want to ask anyone who is watching, if you just have a few moments to fill out our little event survey that I'm going to paste into the comments. And even if you watch this later, after it is no longer live, please fill out the survey. It is 3 questions and it helps us know if you like the programs. And that's about it. So remember that you can purchase The Speed of Light from the Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore in San Diego. They have copies for you to buy. You can check it out from the library. And if you aren't nearby, who knows where you could be, you should definitely check out your local bookstores and local libraries to see if they have it too. And if they don't have it, you should tell them that they should have it.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again to Elissa for being with me. And we hope that you all have a wonderful night and a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you so much.